Ladies and gentlemen, it's the start of a new week, and even though we're nearing the end of this year, the news is not slowing down at all. I would even argue that we're getting like an overload of news. And in this video, we have some insane Switch 2 updates. We have some good ones, some great ones, some bad ones, and some worrying ones. So let's go ahead and get right into this video. So this video is going to be a little all over the place. So what we're going to do is, I think it's like a compliment sandwich, but this is going to be like a Switch 2 news sandwich. So we're going to do some good news, bad news, good news, bad news, good news, I think. Something like that. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what we're doing here. So before we get started, if you could hit a like and subscribe, that would truly mean the world to me. We are 300 subscribers away from 24,000, and that is my end of the year goal. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter so we can keep these communities growing, and let's go ahead and get right into this one. So the first thing I want to do is recap some of the announcements at the Game Awards, because I didn't really talk about it after it happened, and I didn't realize so many Switch 2 games were announced, right? I knew there was a few, I didn't know there was as many as we're about to talk about. So the first game I want to mention is South of Midnight. I don't really know much about this game. The art style looks pretty cool, but I'm pretty sure this was an Xbox game, if I'm not mistaken. And I actually think this came out this year, so it's a fairly new game. But when I looked online, people are pretty excited about this. I'm not sure if they gave us an exact release date, but I know this is coming out for the PS5 and Switch 2 in 2026. So this is just an extra Switch 2 game we have coming out next year. So a game that I'm very surprised about is Pragmata, I don't really know how it's pronounced, and I'll be honest, I don't really care. I'm one of the people who say Nier Automata, even though it's Nier Automata. Again, I don't really care. So this one is a bit shocking, right? So not only is this game coming to the Switch 2, but I read this report that says Pragmata on the Switch 2 is so high quality that even the developers were surprised. Now again, this one looks pretty interesting, but here's what I find even more interesting, I guess. This game is getting an official amiibo. And you know Nintendo's been very selective over these amiibos, right? So the fact that this game is getting an amiibo shows you something there. I don't know who developed this game. I think this might be Capcom, if I'm not mistaken. And if that's the case, you know, Capcom and Nintendo have a fantastic relationship. We also have Resident Evil Requiem coming out, and those are getting amiibos as well. At least I think they're getting amiibos. But I will say the amiibo for this game looks fantastic. So we also have Phasmophobia coming to the Switch 2 in 2026. Again, I don't know much about this game, but I'll be honest, the horror genre is like my least played genre in gaming. I think I do want to start getting into them though, because I feel like I'm missing some pretty amazing games. But I know this was a PlayStation game, and I think there's actually a VR version of this as well. But I find this very interesting because we're getting just a huge range of games coming over to the Switch 2. And next year, man, the library is going to be incredible. So a really interesting game called Out of Words was announced for the Switch 2 as well as Xbox and PS5. And right away you can tell this game was heavily inspired by It Takes Two and Split Fiction. This is a co-op only game. What's really interesting is this entire game was done in stop motion. I can't imagine the amount of work that went into this, but just the aesthetic of this game and then the whole multiplayer aspect, it looks like it was made for the Switch 2. I hope this is one of those games where you can play two people on one console, because that would just be fantastic. And then maybe some game share as well. Like, there's a lot of possibilities for this one. But this one, man, I truly can't wait to play this. One of my favorite games that was announced the entire Game Awards was Orbitals. This, again, kind of similar to It Takes Two. It's a multiplayer only game. But man, they nailed the aesthetic for this. It reminds me of like 80s or early 90s anime, which is my favorite era of anime. So the fact that they were able to translate that into a game and it looks the way it does, I think this is going to be one of the best games that comes out next year. And I believe this is exclusive for the Switch 2. So a game I cannot believe got announced, and I've been talking about this game quite a bit. It's from a series I am very fond of. We got a new Mega Man game announced, but it's coming out in 2027. So I don't really understand why they announced this so early. I mean, maybe just to say like, look, we're working on it. But it is cool, right? We are getting a Mega Man game. Now, this game is obviously coming out for the Switch 2, PS5, and Xbox, but it's also coming out on the PS4 and the Switch. And maybe you can make an argument for the Switch, like, yeah, you know, it's still a great console. I just find it crazy that the PS4 will still be getting new games in 2027, but I am so damn excited for this one. If you're not a Mega Man fan, play Mega Man 11. It is so fun, at least in my opinion, and then you might be excited for this one. There was also that game called like something Chicken Foot, and it looked like a Studio Ghibli film, basically like a Grandma Legend of Zelda game. I don't know if they announced what consoles that was coming to, but I would imagine the Switch 2 as well, so I'm very excited for that one. But a lot of games were announced for the Switch 2, and I think going into the Game Awards, people were like, yeah, you know, we're going to see all these announcements, but we're not going to see a lot of Nintendo representation, and that just wasn't the case. I think all things considered, Nintendo did pretty good at the Game Awards. Also, Nintendo actually won some awards. Donkey Kong won Best Family Game, and Mario Kart won Best Racing Game, so not bad. But now, remember what I said, we're going to do a game news compliment sandwich thing, good news and bad news. So let's get into some bad news. Then just chill out, we'll get into some good news again. So we had a new game come out a few days ago, and I'll be honest, I've never played any of these games, but it's a genre or a series, I guess, that I'm interested in, that I think I might like, right? And I thought, well, if this game goes on sale at any point, I'll probably pick it up for the Switch too. But now that is not the case. So I'm talking about Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader. So this game came out in December, and it actually had a decent amount of hype, but man, did they butcher this port, truly butcher it. I'm reading some user reviews and they're just saying rush port, horrible quality, bad frame pacing, bad everything. So, you know, sometimes people say that, but it's never really as bad as people make it seem, or, you know, it's like an echo chamber, but when you get out of that, the game's actually decent. But that's not the case at all. So much that Nintendo's received several reports of this, and they're actually refunding the game due to absolutely poor and unacceptable performance. So sometimes you can buy a game, but you might not like it, or it's not living up to your standards. Even if you played it, sometimes Nintendo will give you a refund, but it's very rare. But when there's a game that is unanimously agreed upon that it's just horrible, bad effort, not a great port, for Nintendo to say, look, we get it, here's a refund, I think that's really saying something. So in case you were thinking about getting this one, or it was on your radar, or maybe you bought it and haven't played it yet, or whatever the reason, I just want to highlight and say be cautious, or maybe do your research on this one. And it really sucks because we're getting some fantastic ports on the Switch 2. I mean, stuff that is above and beyond my expectations. And then we're having other companies say like, look, the Switch 2 is selling like crazy, let's get our game over there, and people are buying everything, but they're not putting in the actual effort. It sucks, it really does. So now we're going to do 2 good updates, and then we're going to end the video on a very worrying one, right? So every time we get a new Switch, or I guess Switch 2 firmware update, what's happening is Nintendo is going in there, or at least I think it's Nintendo doing it, and they're fixing a lot of games that were not compatible with the Switch 2, or were having issues, and the list is growing more and more, like all these games that are working perfectly fine now. The last big one we got, Nier Automata, was fixed so much that I had to go out and buy another copy. It's up there. But they just released another patch of games, so I just want to highlight those quickly in case these are some of the games you were waiting to play on your Switch 2. So the latest lineup of games are Blade of Darkness, Game Dev Story, Little Nightmares Complete Edition, Miitopia, which is a very underrated game, Majo Yugi, I guess, Resident Evil 4, which I couldn't believe that was messed up, Solid Void, Sports Party, Streets of Rage 4, and Venture Towns. And I've also heard conflicting reports that Pokemon Diamond and Pearl were messed up in this firmware update, but now that they're working again, but I cannot confirm that one. Now this next update is incredible. It has blown my freaking mind, okay? One of the best things about the Switch 2 is HDR. Sometimes it looks good, sometimes it looks very washed out and not right. And I know there's videos like teaching you how to make the HDR look great, but I've tried a couple things and it never looks like it should, or it looks like, I guess, on other people's TVs or Switches or whatever. And I just thought, it is what it is. I'm going to play it. I'm going to enjoy it. But in this latest firmware update, Nintendo actually adjusted the way the HDR is used and updated. And I think 99% of the people don't know about this because they didn't highlight it. But I just watched a video that teaches you how to fix your HDR, and it's only 2 steps, and I'm not even kidding, dude. There's no way I can like make you believe what I'm about to say, but it is life-changing. It looks insane. And now my Switch 2, I can't believe like how good it looks. I got a brand new TV right here. It's big as hell, like 65 inch, bolted onto the wall that I got on Black Friday. And I've been playing my Switch 2 a little bit more docked, but I thought, yeah, this looks good. But it's not looking as good as I guess I thought it was going to. But now I think I'm about to play my Switch 2 for like 10 hours tonight, you know what I mean? And every night. So there's a YouTube channel called HDTV Test. Shout out to them. That's where I learned about this HDR fix. They have a 9-minute video, but I'm just gonna explain it to you very simply. Whenever your Switch 2 is docked, you can go in and adjust your HDR. And the first thing they have you do is adjust this little slider until one of these little light bulbs disappears. You've probably done it a million times. It'll say like, make the left side barely visible and don't see the right side at all, right? What you wanna do is adjust it until you cannot see both light bulbs. So max out the brightness 100% till it's just a white rectangle. And at first you're thinking, what the hell is going on here? But just bear with me. Then go and adjust the brightness. What you want to do is hit your right thumbstick to the right 5 times. So just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then hit OK. Once you do that, your HDR will be some of the most beautiful colors I have ever seen. I'm not even kidding. I have a regular ass TV, not even an OLED, and it looks better than my OLED. It looks incredible. So I just want to highlight this because it has made the biggest difference in my Switch 2. But you know, we have to end this video with some bad news, or at least worrying news. I'm not saying it means anything yet, but I do think the way the industry is going, as well as other patterns, it doesn't bode well for prices. Nintendo is apparently paying 41% more on RAM to build the Switch 2 amid memory shortages. Not only is this affecting Nintendo, this is affecting like SD cards and micro SD cards in the future. The ones in stores are already a set price, but coming in 2026, we're probably going to see those prices increase. But I'm more focused on the actual Switch 2. Nintendo manufactured the hell out of these consoles. I think I read somewhere that they might have manufactured like 20 million before launch. So, you know, we haven't even hit that number yet. But one thing we've seen across the board is Xbox raise their prices twice. We've seen PlayStation maybe raise their prices twice. But having the base Switch 2 at $450 is a massive deal. It is the budget option. And when you see all these amazing third-party ports coming over, maybe you don't have a console or you're in the market for one, or maybe you're trying to figure out the best thing to do on a budget. Me and a bunch of other people online and in the gaming world, we've all had this thought that Nintendo's probably going to raise the price of the Switch 2, maybe due to tariffs, maybe due to inflation, maybe due to whatever reasons. And you know, they delayed the Switch 2 pre-order due to inflation, but instead of raising the price of the Switch 2, they raised the price of all the accessories and amiibos and everything else besides the actual console. But with this RAM shortage, which is due to AI companies buying up all this stuff, so much that public companies are now going private and only selling to AI, which is, you know, that's a nightmare in itself. There is a high probability that the Switch 2 is 100% getting a price increase. And I could see it happen in January or February. You know what I mean? Like, get these holiday sales out, get everybody settled, and then raise the prices so much that the base Switch 2, I'm thinking is going to be $500. And then the Mario Kart World bundle or whatever bundle will be $550, $560, something like that. Then they'll probably raise the prices of the Pro controllers. God forbid they raise the prices on the software. It is not looking too great. So if you're in the market for one, you might want to get it now. But ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about this? Because your opinion matters most. So let me know in the comments below. My timer is about to run out on my camera. Like and subscribe on the way out. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Consider becoming a channel member. And you guys know me. I'll see you very soon with a new video. Peace.